Hello, hello. So, welcome to another edition of the Coloring Book Creator podcast. I am doing a video podcast. Now, I'm going to be doing more video related podcast. So, if you're on YouTube watching this, you're obviously seeing the video. If you're listening on the audio iteration of the podcast, the link to see the video version of it is also in the show notes. So, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited about today's interview because I'm bringing back what I affectionately label as one of my what I call OGs. It's Miss Marsha Ashley. We connected exactly 2.5 years ago when she joined my Coloring Book Creator Mentor program. She joined that program to work with me to help her develop her first coloring and activity book called Do All Things with Kindness. I have been wanting to re-interview everyone who is of the original cohort. And actually, I'm going to put the link in the show notes and in the description on YouTube that you can listen to that original interview that we did exactly two plus years ago. So anyway, first of all, Marsha, thank you so much. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Rodney. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really great to be here again, like 2.5 years on. Who would have thought it? But we're here.
I know. As time's going by so fast. So I've already talked about you and your book. Tell us, what have you been doing since you created that first book, Do All Things with Kindness? What have you been up to?
Wow, there's been so much. But I think after creating the book, it really set me on a creative journey, and I suppose I felt a bit, oh, I can actually do something. I can accomplish something creatively. So it led me to doing workshops in the community with people with disabilities. So I managed to do like a one day a week, just working with people in the community who have special, diverse needs. And it was from connecting with the group and staying with it. And they were like, yes, you can do this, you can go for it. And so it was really encouraging to have the group saying, yes, you can do it. And then also how much you can charge for it as well, because that was a real thing. We can all do creativeness, but very rarely do we actually charge for what we do. So that was fantastic to actually get something that was concrete that I'm doing regularly and doing workshops. And so yeah, through working with people with diverse needs, it's been really interesting because you kind of have to adapt to whoever you're working with. Some people are really sensory, and so you have to adapt your style to work with them. Some people like, to put things in their mouth a lot. And so it was a case of adapting my materials to work with them. So maybe if I wanted to use sand, instead of using sand, I might use crushed up Rice Krispies or something like that. So that's been a real journey. But it's just been really fantastic working with different groups of people. Yeah. So from that, now I'm sort of going into working online workshops. That's what we've been developing together. So working alongside you, we've been doing these online workshops called Kitchen Cupboard Creations.
Recreations, yes. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's a bit of a strange one, but it's just a way of getting people into being creative and stopping some of those barriers. Because we go, oh, you know what? I want to do it, but I don't have the materials. I want to do it, but I don't have the time. I want to do it, but I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. So I wanted to take away all those barriers, use something that you've already got in your kitchen. So peas, pistachio nutshells, eggshells, whatever it is, and just use that to make art with. And in that way, it just takes away all those barriers. Mm.
That is so fun. That is so fun. I so love that because, again, I myself consider myself an artist, maybe one that doesn't have what I might construe as a regular practice, but I do consider myself an artist. But sometimes those things come up where I feel like, well, I'm not really of that level, or I haven't done this since I was a kid. So I sometimes wonder, do I think of myself more as one than I actually am one? But what you've created has allowed us to drop all of those barriers and all of those ideas, false ideas about who we are, and just give us the breathing room and
Mm.
the space to actually create. And I think that I don't think I know, having participated in one of your workshops, I know you have a new one coming up soon, has really opened my mind and my eyes. And I'm just curious, what have your other students been saying that have been participating in your workshops online?
Yeah. I think they really enjoyed the experience, and some of them have said, you know what, I would never have done it if I didn't join up to your class and say I was going to come because, you just wouldn't do it. So yeah, in general, they really enjoyed the process, and even just using the glue and getting their fingers sticky, it kind of reminds them of how it was when they were a child. And I think that's some of the good thing about being creative is like you can bring out some of that childlike fun that we used to have once upon a time, where it didn't have to be perfect. You can just, just get messy, and then, however it comes out, it comes out. But it's the process of doing that. And also some of them have, had a bit of chance to be around their family and do it at the same time as well because you're at home. You're not got to go out. So it's good.
And also too, the use of like you said, kitchen cover creations was inspired by the fact that you use kitchen related ingredients, i.e., dried peas, beans, macaroni, pasta, whatever you want to call it, and that you can also paint and colorize those things. So that, I think that even makes it more fun because it's not the usual suspects like just paint or just whatever art supplies that you might pick up in the art store. You actually may have some things already in your cupboard, hence kitchen cover creations, hence why we're in a kitchen environment today. So, if you are listening to this version of the podcast again, I encourage you to go over and check out the YouTube video version of this because you can see this cool virtual kitchen environment that I just discovered right before the call, before the call, and it's so fitting for the conversation that Marsha and I are having. So, anyway, anything you want to elaborate on that as far as the things that people need to be able to participate in the workshop?
It's so cool. You really don't need anything at all, apart from having to go out and buy glue, which is like, I think for yourselves, you might say Elmer's glue. Is it Elmer glue?
Elmer's glue, yeah.
Elmer's glue. That's
Yeah.
right. In America, maybe it's Elmer's glue. In England, you'd probably know it as PVA glue, but it's generally just the white glue that you had when you was at school and you put it on your hands, that type of basic glue we can get anywhere in any hardware store or, art shop, wherever. So that's the main thing that you'd need. Other than that, just, when you're gutting out the pumpkin and you see the seeds, keep the seeds, you know.
Oh,
If you even got shells, you can keep the shells. I mean, my husband keeps going to me, aren't you going to throw that away? I'm like, no, it's my artwork. So,
I love
and then
that.
we've got,
I love that.
all sorts of beans. Because what I find is that you do these recipes and you have to buy certain ingredients, right? How often do those ingredients just get put to the back of the shelf and you never use them again? So if there's ingredients at the back of the shelf, bring them out and make a picture with them. And, sometimes it might think, oh, what are these beans? Maybe I could actually cook them and see what they taste like.
I love the way you structured everything like a recipe. And I know with the new workshop that you've got coming up soon, it's going to be around creating what we in America call ornaments. You in the UK refer to them as baubles. And that was the workshop's going to be coming up soon. And I know you have an example here to want to show us of one of your pieces that you recently made, if you want to show it to us on the camera.
Oh, here's one I made earlier.
Cool. That's fun. That's
Yeah, so it's really cool. I just used pistachio nuts around the outside. First of all, I got a bit of cardboard, so recycled from a cereal box. Yeah. And then stuck some pistachio nuts around the outside and some beans on the inside, I colored the beans. So red, some were black already anyway. And
Gotcha.
then in the middle, we've got some um, pumpkin seeds, which I took from the pumpkin from Halloween,
Love it.
dried them, and there they go. So yeah, it's
That's so
it's a little
fun.
bit something creative
That's so
and
fun.
personal.
And you
Yeah.
can actually hang it on the tree and think about how much more memorable that will be. Because typically, what happens with those of us who put up a tree every year, many of us have collected ornaments or baubles that we've had since we were children over the years. So we, always want to keep those special ones because there's always a memory attached to whenever we got that ornament or whatever the case may be. So to be able to have something that is made by hand and something that the whole family can do together, if you wish, that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, a lot of
I mean,
fun.
you can get precious about it, but you could just have it for the year and then throw them away.
Yeah,
You can't keep them because they're made from rubbish anyway. And
right.
I think sometimes, we make these things and you want to keep them and all the rest of it, but also it's you've had fun with it and you can dispose of it as well if you want to. So it's really entirely up to you. You can keep it and you remember it, or it's not precious, so you can get rid of it after the season's up.
Yeah. So I wanted to segue for just a quick moment because I know something else that has really inspired everything that you're doing now since the book is you're studying for your master's now in art therapy. How is that
Yeah.
going?
That is amazing. I am learning so much, and it's always been something that I've wanted to do. So I did the foundation year just before I did the book, the coloring book, and I always wanted to go back to it, but obviously finances and all the rest of it, it was like, oh, I want to do it, but am I going to be able to do it? So, but because of doing the workshops and keeping in, that I was able to get my client hours up and also my finances a little bit. So I was actually able to start the course and yeah, it's just really, really interesting as to give you the understanding of what you're doing. So some of the things that we do creatively, but have an understanding of what it's all about. So like doing art as community, having the research behind it, which will show how good it is for your mental health, for your well-being, for connections, and alleviate isolation. There's just so many good qualities to art and how it is for your well-being. So yeah, I'm just so excited.
I love that. Let me ask you a question. Now, with your own experience now, having worked with groups in person, now online, as you also are preparing yourself for your master's in this subject matter, and what you've noticed with the online cohort of what you're doing, what kind of what are people really getting out of it besides the finished product? What are you seeing it translate into the online world as well? What are people getting out of the experience besides the finished piece?
Yeah, I think it really is just a um sense of breathing, just relaxing for a moment and not being attached to your computer, not being like, okay, what's coming next? But you've got a couple of hours to just decompress and to be with whatever you're doing. So, you know, everyone's doing their artwork as they're going along and they're talking. So you're able to connect and you're able to just really just relax and be with whatever you're doing. And then also as an outcome, you've actually got something physical that you've created that you can feel proud of as well. So it's like mm, yeah, it's a real like hit because sometimes you're doing a lot, but you don't see the benefits of what you're doing. So if you can create something in a short pace of time and get that, it's good. It's helpful.
The biggest benefit that I've seen for myself personally, having attended both of your workshops already, is that it's one is the sense of community, which I feel is really, really important and becoming more so as we move into the new year. that sense of belonging, being around people that you feel connected to. And in the process of being in this community, this online experience is what I'd like to call it, is that you're also creating something tangible that you walk away with that's like a memory that again, you keep it, whether you hang it on your tree or mount it in a frame or whatever you choose to do with it. But there's a real strong sense of tangibility to it as well. And that's what I got out of the
Mm,
experience, in addition to meeting really fun, cool people who are very lively and energetic and just excited to also be. I can't think of anything better than to be in a room of really fun people creating together.
yeah.
And what a wonderful way to spend your time that's not on technology, although we're using technology, but we're
Mm,
not on technology, meaning that we're focused on something that's other than being together.
yes.
Yeah,
Agree. And I think it's a space where you can experiment, because even though we're using the same items, we're never going to have the same end result because
yes.
we all have our own sort of like take on it or whatever. So yeah, we're doing something together, but we're also doing something individual, which is showing our own self-expression. So it's, yeah, it's good.
I love it. So, depending upon where you're watching this, if you're listening to the audio version of this, please go to YouTube and check out the video. Or better still, if you're interested in joining us, I'm going to be there too for Marsha's next workshop, where she's going to be showing us how to make similar baubles, ornaments, like what she just showed us. That's coming up soon. The date is also going to be listed on the page. So I'm going to put the link to all of that in the show notes. You can go over and check that out if you aren't already watching this video on that page. So if you're on the page, there's an easy button down there to click. You can join us right now. It's 50% off, depending upon what date you're looking at it. But it's 50% off, 50% off coupon code that you can use to join us. If not, it'll go up. It's still going to be a very nominal. It's not like a really expensive class. But and you'll get the templates, you'll get instructions, you'll get what Marsha's calling a recipe list, which is basically glue, a little bit of paint, and some kitchen cupboard items like beans, peas, pasta, dry pasta, and come and hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. The last two workshops. I just want to say this really quickly to those of you all who are watching or listening. The last workshop that we attended, Marsha's mom was there. Such a lovely woman, so lively. Made two pieces instead of one, and just had a great time. Has she said anything more since the workshop that day?
I was so surprised that my mum came on because she doesn't do any sort of like tell her, paintbrush. No, she's a very practical person. She loves cooking and stuff like that. But to take time out just to do some painting and stuff like that, she doesn't do it. But she said she really enjoyed it. So she's gonna make sure she's got all of her items next time. So she's like, I'm gonna get myself a little box and put all of my items in there, so I've got my paintbrush and my this, that. She's getting really into it. So,
I
yeah,
love,
she was really loving hanging out with people. So
love it.
it's good.
So I'll suggest this to you all listening, watching, is that if you are thinking about or trying to figure out what kind of gift to give someone for the holiday season, do something more fun and personal like this. It doesn't have to be something that you buy in the store. It can be an experience like this that's coming up. So if you're still trying to do that last minute, gift item, it'll happen before Christmas, but you can say this is an early Christmas present. You can still give them something else if you want to put something under the tree. But this could be an early Christmas present that you might want to give someone who you don't have to be a trained artist. You don't have to have a ton of supplies or anything like that. Pretty much almost guaranteed everything you need you already have in the cupboard. And I think this could be a fun. I've got a couple of people in mind I want to give this to as a Christmas gift myself. So that's why I'm suggesting that. If you're not sure, come check it out. So, Marsha, any last thoughts or ideas or anything you want to share with us just about everything that you're doing and people who are still not sure quite if the workshop is right for them or not? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think, you know what? There's just so much busyness in the world at the moment. And I think if you really want to just get a little bit of time to get back in tune with who you are and connect with people. And this is a nice place to do it. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. So it's not as though you've got to go out. Often it's this time of the year for people in the UK, at least it's dark outside and such like. But I think it's a great way to connect with people, to be creative and to produce something creative for your tree or whatever you're doing. So give it a go. And yeah, I'd love to see you. So yeah, that's it really.
And I guess I'll wrap it up by saying again, Marsha's from the very beginning of our first conversation together has been a person that I've always felt from a heart space how much she loves to give. And I was so inspired by her book, which I put the link to that in the show notes here, Do All Things with Kindness. It just to me almost feels like a little bit of a full circle moment from starting with the book, encouraging people to embrace creativity and do it from a place of a heart place of being a loving person, which we desperately need right now in the world is more more people doing things for other people from a space of kindness. It's so needed right now globally. And so to be able to actually have a live interactive experience where you can really see her heart and the people that she attracts and draws in, it's just a fun way to spend a relaxing afternoon that's not on the telly and not on your phone, being present and being in the company and the community of really fun people who just want the same thing. And I can't think of anything better than that. So for me to you, I want to say my heartfelt congratulations on you staying on your path, for you never losing who you are, and just even growing who I already knew you were when you first came on board into the full fruitfulness of where you're going, which is the perfect way to segue this out because that's the name of your graphic design, isn't it? It's a fruitful nest. You truly embody all of that. So to that, I say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all your help and your guidance along the way. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I'm going to wrap it here. Again, I want to keep this kind of short. But again, if you're watching on YouTube, all the links to everything are down inside of the show notes, inside the description here, including how to go register for the workshop that's coming up called Nutty Christmas Charm, which again, if you saw the ornament we showed a moment ago, hold it up one more time, Marsha. You'll know why we call it that Nutty Christmas Charm. If you're listening to on the podcast iteration, the link to the registration page for the workshop coming up is also there. And yeah, if it's of interest to you, grab a seat, join us. Everything you'll need is going to be there. I will say this, there will be a recording. If you can't for some reason make it live, there will be a recording of the workshop. And it's also a precursor to more workshops Marsha is going to be doing in the coming year. So this would be a great opportunity for you to sort of, if you aren't able to make it, to kind of get a taste of what happened. And included with that will be a coupon code, an additional coupon code that you will get that you can apply towards future workshops that Marsha is going to be doing in the coming year. So I wanted to make sure I said all of that to you all too. If you look at the date and say, oh, I can't really make it at that time, I would still recommend you get it if you can. And like I said, have it available for you. Take advantage of that or that discount code for future and join us for a future workshop in the spring. I mean, in the beginning, I should say, the beginning of 2025.
Definitely. All right.
All righty. Thank you all so much. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the podcast. All righty. So.